Okay, so hello everyone. Thank you for coming to this Meet the Linden talk, the third of our Meet the Linden talks. And today I'm talking to Xiola Linden, who is the lead community manager at Linden Lab for Second Life. And Xiola, what does that involve? Perhaps you could tell us a bit about what being the lead community manager means.
Sure thing. So yes, I'm the lead community manager at the lab. I actually also work on Sansaar and Second Life. So I cover both of those products, obviously currently with very different focuses. But with Second Life, I do a lot of, I guess I say, a Jill of all trades. I wear a lot of hats. I work with a lot of our teams internally on things since I'm sometimes sort of a touch point for a lot of our residents to talk to. But some of the fun things I've been getting to do recently, of course, are working on official events for SL14B, as well as um, uh, coordinating and working some with our community celebration team. Oops, I hear something. Sorry. Um, with our community celebration team as
Could you please
well
mute your mic? Thank you.
To do some things like what we're doing this evening, which is the Come As You Were party, which is encouraging folks to come in their oldest avatar outfits, going all the way back to Ruth, the Ruthiest of Ruths, and or what was it, the boy next door? I don't know if there was a male Ruth. Was there a male Ruth? Somebody knows
No,
that. I
everyone.
mean,
If you went back to roots, everyone
you were
ended
just
up as
Ruth.
a female. Yes.
Oh, fun. So that's happening at the cake stage, which is actually, excuse me, here on the community celebration regions. So I do that. I also do a lot of our blogs that we share, the destination guide blog posts. I coordinate and work with Brett, who's actually been helping me out a lot lately because I've been focusing so much on these other events, like the shopping event.
Mhm.
And he's the one that's really looking up and checking out a lot of these places when he's working on destination guide submissions. So we work together on that. I do the pick of the day, which has lately been more like pick of the week, just simply because I haven't had as much time to spend looking through Flickr at our Flickr grouped picks and finding stuff. But yeah, I do a lot of that. I do triaging of issues that come through, sending people to the right place. I work a lot with, the folks that you've had on the couch already this week, like Patch and T and Landon and all of those people. I'm bringing community concerns and questions to them, keeping an eye on things when stuff pops up. Um, yeah, the list goes on and on. There's a lot of things that Second Life specific that I don't think I'll ever get to do in any other roles I ever take on because it's such a unique um, and cool product. Uh, so when people ask me that question here in SL, it's a lot easier to answer than when somebody asks me outside of Second Life, what do you do? It's like, well, I'm a lead community manager for a virtual world, and they're like, what does that mean? Um, and then I like to think it's part of my job, but I shop a lot. I
I
shop a
think
lot in
that's
World.
a really important part of your job. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
I yeah. I mean, you have. It's one of the advantages of doing designing well. So we get around and we visit an awful lot of cool places, and you must find that too.
Yes, I have to say I don't get to explore as much as say Toyley, who I know shares a lot of his adventures in SL. I do go to a lot of places. I just don't get to spend as much time at each one because I tend to spend a lot of my time when I'm not doing official business on my alt, taking
Hmm.
care of my Second Life business. So as many creators and fellow creators know, a lot of times when you own and operate a business in Second Life, you kind of spend most of your time on a platform not talking to anybody. And so, unless you've got people hanging out there with you, which is one of the coolest things I think about Second Life, is that we can stand around creating stuff while socializing and hanging out. Um, so, so a lot of my off official business time, Second Life, is spent up in the sky on a platform, building and working on things. So. I do try to get out and about though and check out what's going on. And there's a lot of cool stuff already I've seen here at the birthday region. So I'm going to have to make sure I slice some more time out to make my rounds completely.
It's one of the things I think that creators love, events like this and Home and Garden, Fantasy Fair, all the big events, because creators get to see what other people are doing and also to get together and start up projects and really hang out together, and that's such fun.
It definitely is. And that's one of the things, I mean, like I was saying before, it's really hard to sort of define what I do, but I always find myself going like, holy crap, I'm getting paid to do this. Whatever that this is of the moment. Like there's so many really cool and incredible opportunities that come up with the Second Life communities. And I like to speak of them in the plural since we know that there's a lot of niche communities within the umbrella of SL communities, and that the communities that you hang out with may be a different circle of communities than, somebody who's interested in some other things may hang out in. So part of my job that's, I think, difficult but also really cool is trying to keep an idea of what's going on in as many of those communities as possible. From the music scene to, the EDU stuff to the nonprofit stuff. And I'm really, really, really grateful that we have a lot of folks in those communities who reach out on a regular basis and let me know about stuff that's coming up so that we can help boost the signal, as it were, and get the word out. Because, yeah, I mean, we spend a lot of time looking at what's happening around the grid, but I'm sure there's plenty that we miss because we just don't know about it. So please continue to share that type of stuff with me, so that when and if we can help spread the word.
I always find SL birthdays are really good for finding out about stuff you didn't know was actually happening. So, for example, it was here that I found out about horse dressage, which I didn't know you could do in Second Life. And I also found out about SL golf, which I absolutely love. I love going and playing a round of golf because it's so relaxing. And, I wouldn't have known about it without the birthdays because, as you say, there's just so much going on that you can never find it out.
It's true.
And there's some cool crossovers as well. Last night I was talking, my Meet the Community talk was role players. And I had dystopian role players. I had elves and kind of magical people. I had demons. And I had firefly, desert planet people. And after a little kind of, I felt, when they first came in, they were sort of eyeing each other cautiously. By the end, they were talking about the possibilities of doing crossover role play and all getting together and having crossover stories, which I think would be so cool.
Yes, actually, last year for the birthday, we didn't do it this year. Instead, we did a masked ball, but which we had on Monday. But last year, we did what I called the role play mashup party, which was for people to come in their favorite RP costumes, keeping it, of course, general audience friendly. Unfortunately, just because we have the mixed company as
Yes.
things. And it was really cool to see all the different things. I come up from the age of RP being very what is it? Kind of like the Dungeons and Dragons days of like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
crawling through a cave. You're a sorceress or a dwarf or that sort of thing. I played a lot of that with my older brother growing up. Um, and then, so sort of my mind always associated it with that, but then seeing all of the variety of different genres covered in SL and seeing them all dancing together at this party was really a lot of fun. We had a really good time, so yeah, it's cool.
You actually are a born and bred Silicon Valley kid, aren't you?
This is true. I kind of softened it a bit in my bio. I think I usually say I'm a born and bred Silicon Valley brat. Um, but
That's
yes,
yeah.
yes, I've grown up here in Silicon Valley, which has afforded me the opportunity to work at some companies in the past. Funnily enough, not as popular as they were back in the time when I was there, but I know Yahoo's been in the news recently for getting bought by Verizon, I think it is.
Mm.
Verizon or Horizon, something, anyways. And I worked there back in the day, and that sort of kicked off my interest in technology and computers and communities in the way that I sort of think of social media and social platforms like Second Life as kind of a second industrial revolution, right? Like back when we first got, trains, planes, and automobiles, these things that were created to bring people closer together more quickly and easily, had just that effect. But it also struck some negative spots in that it could also make people kind of drive people further apart. When somebody's easier to visit, sometimes you visit them less. It's kind of funny how that works. And for me, having grown up with that in Silicon Valley and seeing like social media, it's great that I can find out what my high school friends are still doing with their lives. But at the same time, I can't tell you the last time I actually went and had, coffee or lunch with any of them.
Mm.
So there's an interesting thing for me in that really appealed to me about Second Life, because we're talking about people who do live in different parts of the world, maybe have never met each other in the same room in a physical space, but have these incredible long-term, deep friendships based on some of the things that maybe we pay less attention to when we're staring at somebody face to face, some of the things that are deeper layers of the onion, that kind of thing.
Mm.
And I think that being, sort of being at that in these companies that we're always thinking forward in terms of what can we do technology-wise, really, really intrigued me and brought me to where I am now. And I can't imagine a better place for it. I don't want to make it sound like Second Life is a petri dish that I'm standing over and inspecting, because it's not. It's definitely not that. You really kind of immerse yourself in it in order to understand and enjoy it fully. So I'm really, really happy that I was afforded that opportunity, and that I found my way to my tribe.
And Yahoo, of course, back in the day, I mean, still do, I think, have the Yahoo groups, which were incredibly popular. I don't
Yes.
know if you were involved in that side of things, because that was huge, and I saw it. I don't know. I thought that was a kind of prototype for the way Second Life operated, because you would have social interaction on Yahoo groups as well as kind of themed groups. I remember seeing a BBC program about a group called Sticker Moo, which was essentially, and this seems totally bizarre even now, was a group of people, mainly women, quite often living in fairly remote rural communities, who had an interest in stickers, which they would make kind of scrapbooks with. And these were particularly cow stickers, hence the name Stickermoo. And there was a group, and it was a very busy group, and they actually got together for conferences eventually, but it started with sharing stickers and sharing stories about stickers, and then becoming a social network essentially on Yahoo groups. I just incredible, I thought, the way that these things developed.
Yeah, it's funny actually. You're not the first person I've heard mention Yahoo groups as sort of the predecessor um, to that. In fact, actually, my boyfriend was a Yahoo grouper. Um, I would say what he did back in Yahoo groups is sort of equivalent to what people call griefing here in Second Life. He is a reformed group griefer now. Of course, I would never let him get away with that. But he was very entrenched in Yahoo groups as well before he found Second Life. I was more of at that point, I no longer worked at Yahoo when I first came to Second Life. I was, at that point, really involved in LiveJournal,
Oh, right, yes.
which was an interesting space because it was the first time that I really felt like I was learning the intimate details of people's lives who I had never met. We found people who had common interest, and instead of writing 2 or 3 sentence status updates like we do now on Facebook, which there's nothing wrong with, but it's just it's a different flavor of communication. With LiveJournal, we wrote these long, sort of introspective, very, at least I thought, maybe it's just because at the time I was in my 20s and thought I was super deep and philosophical, but I always felt like, like I had such meaningful, deep conversations there with people. And a friend of mine who I met there, in fact, is the one who told me about Second Life. And he said, you're going to love this. You have to check this out. There's this place basically like we do with our live journals and, the way we talk. Back then it was Yahoo Messenger. It was before Skype.
Yes.
And he said, we could just talk and hang out, but you can have a little avatar that represents you and moves around in this 3D space. And I thought, well, that's cool. Send me an invite. So he did, and he TP'd me into. I didn't realize at the time I was being TP'd to. He brought me to his space in Second Life, and the first thing I see is that he's on a female avatar, and he's role playing a vampire, and he's got a coffin for a bed. And I thought, what the heck is this? And that was the beginning of that was the first time I from the very beginning understood that dressing a female avatar is sometimes much easier in SL than there's a lot more options. And that's exactly what he told me. He said I could just customize myself so much more in this. And then he went away for a little bit, and I thought I had to walk around everywhere in Second Life. So I really only explored what I could get to from that initial login space that he brought me to. And then one day he came back and said, oh, come over and have a drink with me. And he TP'd me to the club, and I was like, wait, there's a faster way to get around it? He was like, yeah, in some places you can fly. And I was like, really? No way. But yeah, it was kind of fun that way. But for me, that's sort of what the stepping stone to SL was for me, was that live journal. Then it was MySpace, which is long gone now. I think I don't know anybody with a MySpace page anymore.
MySpace was very big with music, wasn't it? Lots of musicians got on MySpace. At least in the UK, they did. Sort of folk musicians.
Yeah, it started to become that. Like initially, because we had something, and I don't know if we had something called Friendster, and there was also a tribe.net that was kind of like a social network pre-Facebook. And you would add people from your communities and that sort of thing that you hung out with. Like I had a lot of friends in the physical world that I knew from clubs and stuff that I went to on my Friendster and Tribe accounts. And MySpace kind of started off that way. But then I started noticing I would get a lot of musicians who would add me, and it sort of became a marketing avenue for a lot of musicians and that sort of thing. And I think that at some point MySpace decided to sort of embrace that and turn it into something that was very much about bands and stuff. I don't know what they're trying to do with it now. I think it's still there. I haven't checked it out. Almost all of my time now is spent, aside from what I do for my job with our Facebook and Twitter and all of that, is spent in Second Life. I do all my socializing here. So.
Yeah, I have to confess, I still have a live journal. I haven't written in it for about 10 years, but I do still have a live journal. I had a lot of contacts back in the day.
Yes, I still have mine as well, and I will go back to it occasionally, once a year maybe, and be like, okay, I'm recommitting to writing in my live journal more regularly, and then I come back a year later. Okay, I'm going to be... So there's just so many things to do, like I was saying, between my job with Second Life, which is awesome, and also supporting Sansaar from the community side, doing my Second Life business on my alt, and also wanting to learn new things for that business. There's only so many hours in the day,
Yes.
and I do leave the house occasionally, so I haven't had as much time to do things like update my live journal, unfortunately.
I think that's understandable. As not having had time to do it myself, I can fully sympathize. But one of the things that you've just talked about makes me think one of the problems with Second Life, it seems to me, is actually getting the word out about things. I mean, you have an advantage as being part of the lab that you can basically blanket message everyone. You can email everyone or put things in that should get to everyone. But it's quite difficult, isn't it, to make sure everyone gets the word, and sometimes you'll be talking about something that for you is so, well, for me, is so fundamental, like the birthday, and people will say, oh, what's that? Do you find that there's problems with kind of getting messages out?
Yeah, there definitely. I mean, there's always a matter of time and resources, right? It's not like we're just writing a quick text email and sending it out to, millions of users. It's everything from, working with a designer to, having stuff put together in our email ISP, to working with other folks to make sure that our emails are actually getting delivered. And there's so many pieces that come into that. And actually, I'm it's unfortunate. I originally was hoping that Kayla, who, among many other things, works a lot on our marketing emails, was going to be able to join us, but she's in the process of moving across country, and I think I should probably let her focus on that. So she wasn't able to join me today. But there's a lot that goes involved into just one email. And I know for this event, for example, for the stuff that we're doing around SL14B, I think we're sending out 3 separate emails. And that requires 3 separate email designs, 3 separate, writing 3 things of copy, gathering all of the details and things like that for it, pulling the lists to send them to the right people, that sort of thing. So the processes are not as simple as, sending an email blast where you just, hey guys, come meet us here at this time and see some cool stuff. Boom, send. But then there's also, we have so many different channels, and that's one thing I'm hoping people will be aware, that we do have a blog, and we do try to put as much onto the blog as we can when it comes to these things. Getting the word out can be difficult. I definitely hope to, like I said, continue to maintain close relationships with a lot of the key folks in the different communities to work with me on a two-way street, of course. Let me know about the things going on that you're doing, but also maybe help us get the word out about the things that we're doing. I think there's a lot of, I hate using this word, it's such a Silicon Valley word, but synergy between, our causes and your causes in terms of wanting to have successful events and things in world. So it can be hard. I do hope people read our blog. I'll try to link it into local here in a second, or shout it in local so people can bookmark it for future reference. And we've also been trying to be, I think if people may have noticed, we've been a little more active in the forums as well, and talking about things and sharing stuff. So yeah, it's what is the saying? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Make it drink, yeah.
Sometimes I think it's that you can blast your message, you can air write your message in the sky, but you can't make people read it. And sometimes I think it falls on us that maybe we're not getting the message out loud enough and frequent enough. And then maybe other times it's just that for some reason people aren't reading the message that we're trying to air right in the sky.
Yeah. No, I understand that. Now, I wanted to mention tomatoes.
What about tomatoes? I love the way you say tomatoes.
I say tomatoes, you say tomatoes, yes.
Potato.
There's a very funny song which John Fortune sings. I say tomatoes and you say tomatoes. I can't see what's wrong with this relationship.
But yes, I am a fiend. I'm a fiend yes. for tomatoes.
Tomatoes.
I like to say I'm pretty much as obsessed with tomatoes as Torley is with watermelons. The only difference being that you won't see me sporting tomato red hair. I haven't embraced the theme to that level. But if I could only survive on one food for the rest of my life, tomatoes would be my choice. I'm currently trying to see the silver lining of this heat wave, and the only positive thing for me is that it's probably going to produce some really, really delicious tomatoes in my yard.
So you actually grow them?
Yes, it's so funny too because I have way more tomatoes than a single person. Different plants. I've got about 15 different varieties out there, and some of those I have 2 or 3 of. And people ask me, oh, so that means you're going to bring a bunch of tomatoes into the office to share? And I'm just like, no. These are my tomatoes. I call it, I keep referring to it as the ripening of 2017. I'm eagerly awaiting the ripening.
Ripening,
I've had a few early girl ripe tomatoes, but there's a bunch of green fruit on there that I just can't wait till it ripens. But yeah, tomatoes are pretty much the perfect food in my book, which is funny because my boyfriend hates them, but he's learning to like them a little bit more. But he's a meat and potatoes guy, and I'm just like, a slice of tomato with a little salt on it is like a steak to me. I like steak too, don't get me wrong, but I'll eat up a tomato.
Fried green tomatoes.
I have not. I wanted to try fried green tomatoes because there's in the off months when I can't grow my own tomatoes, there are these really delicious heirloom clamshell packs that they sell at the Trader Joe's, and they are a mix of purple and red and green and yellow, and the green ones always taste really bitter to me. So I need to find a way to do those, and somebody told me about the fried green tomato idea, so I may have that. I have had a pickled tomato. I have. And I also actually am going to try, I saw a recipe on Facebook, one of those videos that seem pretty prevalent nowadays. I want to try pickled avocado. That looked really delicious.
Oh, wow. I'll have to look that up because I adore avocados. One thing that I love is sun-dried tomatoes. I don't know if you get them your side. Presumably you do. Yeah, because the taste is just so intense of those.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I do actually, though, I'm looking, if anybody knows of any good-looking tomato plants on the marketplace, send them my way, because I am always on the quest for some virtual tomato plants. to remind me of my outdoor garden here at home with delicious tomatoes growing.
It'd be nice if people could start making kind of breedable plants so you could actually have tomatoes that ripened. That would be cool.
I think I read something about, I think it may have been watermelons, because I remember actually sending Torley a link about something, and I think it was, is that it, Papillion, that makes there was a watermelon plant, and I was like, oh, Torley, you must get this. If they've made tomato plants, I'll have to check it out. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the hive mind out there will know the answer. If you need any...
Exactly. This is the place to ask.
Yeah. Like tomato dwarfins, yes. Except without sort of even going and hewing rocks together. No sex at all involved.
Let's see the bees that fly around.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if I do get a tomato plant for my SL life, I definitely want one that is free of hornworms, please, because those are scary, scary, scary things. I love horror movies, but I've never been as terrified in my life as when I had to pick a hornworm off of my tomato plant last year.
What are hornworms? We don't get them
They
over here.
call them tomato worms as well, I think. They are these green, sort of caterpillar-looking worms that can get anywhere from 1 to 2 inches to 4 or 5 inches. They're about the thickness of my thumb, and they're really, really talented at being camouflaged to look like a curled up tomato plant leaf. So you may not even realize it's there until you touch it. And they destroy your tomatoes. They destroy them.
That sounds bad.
Yes, but I seriously have never in my life have been as grossed out by something as when that thing was on my plant. And I was brave because those are my tomatoes, and I'll be damned if anybody's going to mess with them, even a big, ugly tomato worm. So, yeah. Anyways, this is way more about gardening probably than anybody here cares to know.
Someone has asked a question, and I'm going to... Hello, Siobhan. You may hear my cat joining us. People have been asking about the feed and how it needs to be better, faster, interactive, so folk outside Second Life can find it. And look at all the fun we do in SL. I'm not quite clear what you mean by a feed and how people outside SL would find it. Yes, okay.
Yeah, this may also be a good question, again, for Grumpity and Oz, who will be in the seat tomorrow at 2. They're from the product side, and they really sort of navigate and prioritize a lot of the various things that need fixing, as well as the things that are being developed that haven't been implemented yet. So, letting people know, of course, the issues that you're running across with the feed is good. They might be able to provide a better status of where things are at with that and where in the list of priorities that may fall in the big long list of things that are being worked on and need to be worked on. So I'm sorry I can't answer your question better than that. It sounded like Siobhan, the cat, was very interested in knowing the answer as well. So if you're able to come tomorrow at 2, you can ask that question to Oz and Grumpany. I'll also just bring it up to them internally and see if we can maybe talk a little bit about where those, what's going on with those, if anything.
And again, I think, I mean, I would say, Kenny, to, making the feed interactive so people can find out about the fun things. I think we're hitting the problem that Xiola talked about, which is you can write across the sky, but you can't get people to read what you write across the sky, no matter how compelling it is and how exciting, You could write "Flee, all is discovered" across the sky, and not everyone would.
Yeah. So I know that the feeds is something that has come up a few times, And like I said, I hope that Oz and Grumpity can maybe address that a little more accurately and clearly.
That would be cool. Okay, so does anyone have any other questions for Xiola? No, I'm sorry, she
Well,
can't
Siobhan.
answer that. Yes, she can't. She's not allowed to say anything about. I'm sorry, Siobhan. I just have this very loud, talkative cat. Chivon has a question. Okay, can you shout your question, Chivon? Or also, can you interpret? Oh, Siobhan, yes. I think Siobhan's question is, when am I going to get some food?
Well, if nobody has questions for me, I may have to ask questions for you guys. But
Well,
I didn't
I've
come
still got a
prepared for
few.
that. Oh, good, good. Okay, good. I didn't have a list of questions, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so you've organised these events for the birthday. Have you got any sort of Meet the Lindens events planned? Because you were doing a whole series. Um, you were doing a whole series of kind of meet the Lindens travelling around various sims. Are you planning on doing any more of those?
Oh yes, we were having the in-world, just sort of meetups type stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes. I mean, obviously for SL14B, you'll probably see a lot of Lindens, and it
Mm,
may seem like you're seeing them more often because we'll probably all sort of be concentrated in the area of the 14B regions. Um, so, don't be afraid to say hello. I
mm,
don't have a bear, but many do, so you can get your bears. I hear that governance team or the support team is somewhere. They have a booth here in SL14B, and they've got bears that you can collect if you. I think it's kind of all part of sort of an education on how best you learn how to file an abuse report effectively, that sort of thing. But if you get through their little game, you get bears. You get to collect bears. So check that out. We have this Come As You Were party going on tonight, 6 to 8 p.m. SLT. Let me drop a link into local for that as well. And then we've got the Music Fest, which is coming up uh, on Friday. That'll kick off on Friday.
mm.
And I imagine that there will be Lindens there as well, including myself. I'm going to be there for all 3 days of music. We've got a bunch of really good musical artists coming
I'm
to
sorry,
that.
I'm going to miss that. You've got some classical music, haven't you?
I think we've got everything from some opera to, I think we've got somebody who does like, I'm going to say the wrong instrument. Similar to, do they do like covers of songs, but they use a fiddle? Um, we have some, what do you call it? A very popular last year and the year before. So we do have some repeat artists from
Hmm.
prior years. Obley is going to be there, and he'll be playing, I think on Saturday he'll be playing. But the one that I always recall is Tempio, who sings Italian and kind of just melts everybody. I mean, like, his voice is just like one of those voices. It's really really great. But we've got everybody that's coming is really awesome. Definitely a gambit of genres. I am sort of stepping outside of my own personal biases when it comes to music selection, and we have a lot of stuff that you wouldn't find in my tape deck, or my CD deck, I should say. Tape deck sounds so ancient. Um, but yes, so that's happening Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I hope to continue to do the meetups and what we do, like there's very specific things that I enjoy doing, like we did the creepy crawl in October, where we try to get a bunch of clubs together, and we spend about 30 minutes at each place, and everybody dresses up in costume, and we kind of make our way through. And I, of course, always invite my fellow Lindens to join us on those adventures. We were trying to do more of a regular monthly sort of just in-world meetup. We haven't had that in a little bit of a while, just simply due to time resources. But I would like to sort of pick that up again and start doing just those random sort of, here's a really cool region for us to go check out. And you know, some of the feedback that I got about those is though people really wanted something more like this. You know, people would show up and they would want to know, you know, stuff about 32-bit versus 64-bit and that sort of thing versus it being just a casual get-together. And, you know, my thing is obviously more of a casual get-togethers. So I'm definitely sort of rethinking how best to do those. It will appeal to everybody because I'd be happy to sort of ask specific Lindens to join in that can answer some questions. But yeah, those more casual gatherings should be more fun, I think.
Yes, rather than sort of question and answer sessions. We've got a pile of questions coming in, some of which I think will probably go to Oz and Grumpy, but let's just whiz through them. Allsouls asked, do you fika now when you have a Swede as CEO? What is fika?
Yeah, what is fika?
And while he answers that, next question, what is Linden Lab doing about sim crossings when sailing or using transport? That's really, I think, an Oz and Grumpy question.
Yeah, definitely an Oz and Grumpy question. I think Landon spoke a little bit about that yesterday, and we'll be putting the videos that we're taking of these talks up on our YouTube channel shortly. So if you missed some of those, you can go back and watch those. But yeah, I would definitely say Grumpy and Oz. If you have any technical related questions, they're going to be your go-to folks. So sorry I can't answer.
Eric has asked, did you ever use or hear about a 2D virtual wall platform in the 90s called the Palace?
I can't say that I've heard of that one, actually.
Long time ago.
90s, what was I doing in the 90s? That's when I was playing with my goofy friends, yeah. We were too busy doing tabletop gaming.
And then also, are there any other virtual worlds whose communities you've looked to for inspiration or as cautionary example for your work with SL?
Yes, of course. I won't get into who, when, where, why, but I try to keep an eye on things. Even too, as we're working towards our creator beta for Sansaar, you know, sort of like what the do's and don'ts, I guess, as it were, of community best practices. I think that's something every community manager tries to keep an eye on and look at. I always like to mix things up, though. I like to try to find different things, which has been really easy, much easier with this community because it is such a unique community of folks. I think there have been some really amazing, like I never would have thought I'd be able to say, you know, I'm putting on a 3-day virtual music fest. It's like,
yes.
What other communities get to do something like that and actually have people show up and and enjoy it? So
at work, my team are all kind of, you know, amazed by the fact I go off and organise events for charities and raise lots of money. We raise lots of money in Second Life. Okay, someone has told me that fika is Swedish for coffee and buns. Do you get coffee and buns?
We get all kinds of fun treats, actually. I don't want to make any of our moon labbers or remote workers jealous, but we do get in the San Francisco office, when people come back from their travels, they bring us all kinds of interesting treats from around the world. It's sort of a given that if somebody's going somewhere, they're going to bring back some kind of a delicious treat. I don't do carbs, so no buns for me, but I more than make up for it in coffee. And, I double my coffee and cut out my buns, I guess. So I don't know if there's what is it, fika light? uh, I'm that person. I'll have. Can I get a hamburger without the bun, please? I get the.
Yeah.
Um, but yes, we get lots of fun treats, and we have a really good selection of snacks to begin with. Of course, they're all very. It's like chips and crackers and candies and cookies. I think the things that keep our engineers running full speed ahead, along with the coffee. But we're right in the middle of San Francisco, so there's just delicious food all around. I could
Just
probably
pop
go
out, yeah.
exactly. But yeah, there's always, like I said, lots of fun treats. I think we've had from around the world.
Okay, so moving on with these questions. Luna Datura is asking about work on server-side graphics development as a replacement for SL Go. Grumpy and Oz question, or can you answer that one?
That's definitely Grumpy and Oz question. I'm sorry.
Okay. And so is the question, I think, about someone trying to fix the 32 bits 2 gigabyte virtual memory limit. However, the next question from Blueberry, will you guys support games in SL by giving them some spotlight, for example, the SL football system? What are the rules for that? Because I seem to remember soccer was sponsored or promoted. Hopefully I remember right. I know that hockey was supported. I don't know about soccer.
Yes, I'll have to check in on that. I don't think that when I came on board in 2011 that was still happening. So before my time, but I will out myself right now in the fact that I know absolutely nothing about sports. I have no interest in sports. I hate sports. But that doesn't mean that our community has to suffer my bias. So let me think about ways in which we can at least maybe shine some more light on those types of things that in SL. I know that there are leagues and that sort of things. Yeah, I know that there are. We have soccer and
Of
hockey.
course, back in...
I know, like the rollerbladers. We've got some badass girls on roller skates who do the whole roller derby thing. Yeah, so let me think about that, and I may reach out to you, Blueberry, for some guidance on some areas that you think might be good to investigate, so that we can get the word out better about the sports stuff. But yeah, I am not as bad as the person who will say, did they just score a goal when you're watching like a basketball game? But I'm pretty, I am that person, pretty close to that.
Yeah, me too. It depends on the sport. I can talk about cricket. And I'm also quite good on Tour de France cycling, but yeah. Of course, when Treat TV was fully functioning back in the day, they used to cover the ice hockey matches regularly. They used to have a kind of weekly ice hockey show, which was very cool. I think that if people were interested in filming soccer games and things like that, I'm pretty sure that Lepaisian would happily run them on the AView TV channel, which could be quite fun. But
yeah,
that would need people being up
and
to
it may be
doing
that.
this.
Yeah, it may be that, like finding somebody in these who's really involved in the community in these sports type stuff, and just working with them to get the word out. Because yeah, all of these things do require bandwidth and resources, and sometimes our bandwidth and resources sort of hit their maximum And like you said, there's just so many things going on in SL. I would love to be able to give attention to all of these various things going on, even the ones that I may not necessarily find of interest, like sports. But the the problem is maybe that I just need to sort of identify the people who are really, really, really in those communities and help coordinate and work out, sort of getting the word out about them. That'd be great if somebody was doing something like that, even like a sports broadcast show or something like that.
Mm. I think it would need to come out kind of internally. You know, they would have to want to do it for themselves.
Yes, and then, we could help, like I said, get the word out.
I've got a question about the Circle Nation sim.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know anything about it. It's the question is, why does everyone get banned on site just for showing up? But
I'm prone to say that's probably not exactly what's happening. If it's appearing that's the case, then that's something I can ask about from our customer support team. I'm relatively certain that they're not trying to shut people out for no reason at all. It kind of goes against our best wishes to do that. But if there's some kind of misunderstanding or some kind of an upset going on there, I'm sure they definitely would like to know about it. So I'm going to take a note of that region name and shoot that over to my friends in the support team and see if maybe something weird is happening there.
okay, Kenny is asking a question about getting all the Lindens to go to Linden Realms for a day and get them all to cheat or camp to troll cheaters and campers there.
I think that's a great idea. Aside from us actually cheating, we would never cheat.
Of course not.
But I think it would be fun just to have a bunch of people running around there doing the Linden route. It's been a while since I've been over there myself, actually.
I've actually run round Horizons with a bunch of moles and Lindens all dressed in evening dress playing the
Fun.
Horizons game, which was hilarious.
That sounds like a good time. I like it. I'm going to write that down. I'm stealing that idea. No, I'm writing that idea down. See who I can gather up on our side. I'm sure. I bet you I could twist Dee's arm to come to something like that. Maybe Patches too. Like I'd have to twist real hard, I'm sure.
Okay, Vic Fosella has a question. When good causes pay out to make a real life donation, do they have to pay the Second Life payout fees?
The details of those types of agreements are with our billing team and the donation folks. All I can do is recommend that if you plan to do something like that where you're going to be raising money, is that you try to get in touch with our billing team ahead of time to talk to them and let them know that you're planning to do that, that there may be some level of process credit that is part of that, and also see if there's anything they can do. So I would say your best. There's no blanket answer to that. Definitely get in touch with them. I do know that sometimes they don't necessarily know that somebody's about to try to do a process credit, and it's because they got a lot of money raised in World for some specific cause. So yes, always try to get in touch with them earlier if you can. I'm not seeing the couch at all. I'm so sorry. I'm just going to stand here.
Okay, you just stand there. You're right next to the couch, but if you can't see it, that's okay.
Yeah, I can't even right-click it. I mean, I tried to sit down on nothing and couldn't. I got told there was nothing to sit on.
Well, you could always shove your graphics down to low momentarily, and then it will come in possibly.
How dare you? I'm just kidding. That's a good idea. All right, go ahead. Sure, Vic, I'm sorry. Like I said, I know there's a lot of these questions that are things I either don't have full expertise on or, it's something that's more of a one-on-one, case-by-case basis. And I know sometimes that's not always the most satisfying answer to get, but yeah.
Janie Bracken is asking, Mesh has altered such a lot in Second Life to make avatars look more realistic. What advances do you see in future to make Second Life more real?
So I know that I've been seeing a lot of really amazing stuff going on with Bento. We sort of got the first wave of Bento that came after we released it to the default viewer. And again, when Firestorm adopted it into their viewer as well. So we've got that sort of, I call it sort of the first wave Bento. And I'm already starting to see people sort of branch out from that and do new things with it and enjoy different Bento poses, Bento finger animations, which I know didn't take too long for the most popular finger poses to become part of Bento. But I really see a lot with that, and I see a lot happening too with sort of, one of the things, and maybe this, one of the things that really kind of was interesting to me was to see how hair creators have started to sort of step up their game. I'm a bit of a hair hoarder myself. I buy so much hair. I have boxes of hair in my inventory that I've never even worn. It's like I have a impulsive buy with hair thing that happens.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and there was a time when the things that you thought about, the only thing you really considered when buying hair, at least for me, was that you would buy textures or color availability, right? Now people are starting to really push not just their texturing and their color palettes. I see a lot of creators rebranding because they completely start from scratch up. And these style heads now where you buy one hair and you can wear it, 4 or 5 different ways. It comes with different bang options. You can put it behind your shoulders, in front of your shoulders. I think Little Bones was probably one of the early people that did that. Truth, I think, has been doing that. And I really love Truth's textures. I love his color choices. I think he just redid his colors as well. And the hair I have on actually has those options as well. Who's this from? Is this Beezy? I think this is. So I think that, just those things, I think some of the developments that we're going to see are really going to come from the community, taking the tools that we've created and pushing them further, either out of competition amongst themselves or just because, we've got some really creative people in our creator community who, as Landon said yesterday, and as I've said before as well, we sort of give you guys the tools and then stand back and go, holy crap, never thought they would use it that way. That is so awesome. We never even anticipated they'd end up doing that with it. So.
The whole, I think it's Bento and materials being combined, which is just awesome. When people start playing with Bento and materials together, just mind-blowing effects.
Yes, that too. I've seen that with the Bento heads.
Hang on a second, I'll show you what I mean. Something that I've got, if you just give me a sec. And there are more questions, and I am going to come back and pick up on your questions, but I just want to demonstrate this.
Sorry, I'm showing off my blueberry while you're doing that. Check it out, everybody. I still don't see the couch, even if I drop down to bottom.
Oh no!
I must be in like a weird state or something. I don't know. And yes, that is a weird. California is a weird state, but I must be in a weird second state. But yes, I think the Bento thing is, and the material stuff is amazing. I know when I first discovered, I can make my lips glossy on my Bento head, or I can add a little shine to it. It's like, woohoo! Yeah, no, I tried right-clicking the couch to strike, and it just told me there was nowhere to sit there. So it's like for some reason that object just isn't even registering on my. I see Saffia, and I see
Okay.
a little coffee table, but not the one in front of us. I see one off to the side.
Okay. So
All
I've
right.
just put these bento wings on. It's your fey wings, but if you look at them, they are so cool. They have this kind of iridescence created by materials. You probably need to zoom quite close and then kind of twist your camera around. But they are amazing. And I could wear a HUD that makes them do all sorts of things, which I'm not doing at the moment. But these are bento wings, and I just love them to bits.
I can't wait till I see the video of it because I can't see them right now. Hopefully we still are capturing video. But yes, the bento bones are awesome. And I think there's even going to be some, we'll see something even with the clothing rigs that I think will become more like long dresses, for example, and gowns, I think.
Oh,
We'll
that
start
would
to
be wonderful.
see more accurate rigging because before it just wasn't available if you had a long tail on a wedding dress or something like that, where maybe there's an opportunity now with the thing with the bento bones.
Okay, I'm going to take these wings off, if I can. It doesn't want me to take them off at the moment. I'm going to take them off so I can sit down. Okay, and we're going to come back with some more questions because I want to ask a few more questions. Xiola, are you good to stay for a few minutes?
I
Because we have
absolutely am.
finished off.
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, so in addition to the return of the Community Gateway program, I was wondering, this is from Eric Mondrian, I was wondering the effort that will apparently be involved in getting approval for that. Sorry, let me start again. In addition to the return of the Community Gateway program, I was wondering, given the effort that will apparently be involved in getting approved for that, what are some other ways existing communities can reach out to new users, regardless of where those users join? So what ways could communities become involved in the Community Gateway program or something similar? The question about the community gateways is from Eric Mondrian. He says, in addition to the return of the Community Gateway program, I was wondering what are some other ways existing communities can reach out to new users regardless of where those users join. He cites that there are quite efforts involved in getting approved for the Community Gateway program. Are there any other ways that communities could reach out to new users?
I'm sure a lot of the communities have their own processes in place, but specifically with the Community Gateway, of course, since they are acting in a somewhat official capacity, we're going to want to make sure that those are sort of vetted and have all the information and resources available to them that they're going to need in order to do that. I know that there are some people who do who build out websites and things around their community separate from this and those types of things. But in terms of like the onboarding process specifically, and I think the Community Gateway specifically, I think is very focused on sort of the new user experience. And I would highly recommend that if that's something that you feel that your community would be really good at, to check out the process. I mean, I haven't read through everything that needs to be done for that, but I do know that Patch and his team are eager to see who else we can add into that program. So
there's always a possibility that you might actually be able to do something if you combine communities. say you've got a community based around writers, for example, if you make contact with some people who are based around perhaps other art forms like dance or um, possibly, well, music is probably big enough to do it for itself, but if you've got a community that you would really like to get involved in bringing people in and have something that you think would interest people, it might be possible for you to combine with a couple of other similarly minded communities and then perhaps jointly run a community gateway.
Yeah, I think that's a
Uh,
fantastic idea.
okay, a question from Vic Forsella. What will the community manager do in relation to Sansaar?
Good question. So that is as I mentioned before, I'm involved with Sansaar as well. And so far, since we have been a closed creator preview, it's been a relatively speaking, a smaller community. So,
Much
oh, go
easier
ahead.
job. I was just
I
going to
wouldn't
say
say
much
that.
easier job.
I wouldn't say that. Not necessarily that it's an easier job. It's just a different focus than
Right.
when you're talking to people who are experienced creators who know. And I think I did see earlier before I crashed somebody's question about building in Sansar. Um, and we are currently with the creator preview, and even when we go open up later this summer to creator beta, um, that is the focus right now is still definitely on the creator's perspective, and right now we are dealing with people who do know 3D modeling programs and how to sort of work with those. I would say that a lot of the functionality and features that people are familiar with here in Second Life when it comes to building, you're not going to find in Sansa right away. So, be prepared for that. And that's not to say that they won't evolve into that. But when we open up um, into creator beta, that you won't, it won't be like res out a prim and uh, you know, drop a sculpty map on it like back in the day or whatever. Um, but the focus, and hopefully I can share this, the focus of that product team is everything that they're working on is working on it within the mind frame of allowing creators to collaborate and work together to build things. So, keeping that in mind when we do open up, and if you decide that you want to check it out, keep in mind that is on the forefront of everybody's thoughts. Like, how can we make this so that it's a collaborative sort of um, environment for creators of different levels and skill sets to build stuff. So,
And that
yes.
would be an in-world thing.
And another thing with that too, I think is textures, for example. Having a dress with 12 textures, and each one of those has a 2048 by a 2048 texture on it. That may be, for me at least, I know I've run into things where sometimes I'm just like, everything in this room is rezzed except this one texture. Um, so, uh, so yes, I think those are the two main points of the complexity project is, one, give people the ability to control how much they render so they can get better performance, and two, to sort of, you know, give content creators maybe some push to think about not going so over the top with with some of that. But I have to say, that all said, one of my favorite hairs, I think it's the one I'm wearing in my profile pic, was also um, one of my favorite hairs for a very long time, and I wanted to wear it today too. It's pretty high up there on complexity. And when we first rolled out the Jelly Doll project, I thought to myself, as a Linden, should I go walk around with this? And I was like, it's such a beautiful hair. I want to keep it on forever. Um, And I'll still wear it a lot, but I figured coming here I should probably. Actually, you know what? I don't even know if the complexity on this hair is high or not, but I tried to be good. Oh yeah, sorry, Lilith. To your question about whether it complexity causes can of avatar lag. I'm not really sure, but um, I think complexity of other avatars can affect your performance, because if your machine's trying to render other avatars complexity, it can certainly slow things down for you. So that was that part one of that, was to help give you a little more control so that you can maybe make yourself as pretty as you want, but maybe have some of the other folks in the room who are higher complexity not render.
Another question from Eric Mondrian. Can you say more about how the lab plans to create bridges, social, technical or otherwise, between Second Life and Sansaar for communities who want to explore the possibility of expanding there?
That's a good question. It's interesting too. I think we haven't quite gotten that far. It may end up being that Sansaar may not be the place for those communities to expand just yet, because as I mentioned, sort of the focus right now is on creators, which is kind of a little bit different of a community. But I think that just by its very nature, because there's so many Second Life users who are very, very interested in Sansaar, I think some of that stuff is going to happen naturally to begin with. And then as we see how things play out, we'll definitely start looking at ways that we need to create those bridges, and that sort of thing. I think everybody's always trying to rebuild Twitter or Facebook, and I think trying to get into that idea of those platforms and the social element of that too early in the game could be more detrimental than as if we sort of see how things are developing and then take a intellectual look at it and think through it clearly. But I'm very interested to sort of see how that happens. So that's a great question. Thank you.
I like the idea of social bridges, because I can see that technical bridges could be very hard, but social bridges is a fantastic idea for making those connections.
Definitely.
There was another question from Two Strike, which was, are the Lindens allowed to friend non-Lindens?
Whether we're allowed or not, I'm honestly not sure. I know some of us do and will, but we are generally usually very, very busy, so please don't take it personally if we don't get back to you right away. I'm usually in about 40 different IM messages, which I've had to ignore while we're talking here today because I wanted to give you my attention. But so there is that. So having a Linden on your friends list may or may not even be that exciting for you, because it may be you. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, I have a deal with a couple of Lindens that they are on my friends list, but I am not really meant to talk to them unless it's something totally dire that they need to know urgently. But
yeah,
you can be my friend, but shut up.
Oh, sorry, my headset went out there for a second. But yes, I heard everything that you said. I would never tell anybody to shut up. At least in SL. At least in SL. At the pub on a Friday or Saturday night is another story. But in SL, I would never do that.
Than that, yeah.
Oh, I see. Strike just wants to collect Linden on his friends list.
Right. Go for the bears. Go for the bears. You can play with them later. Many Lindens have created their own bears.
Yes, many Lindens have created their own bears. I have not. I have tried, and I have never been happy with the results of my sad building skills when it comes to that. The really cool thing is that we have created internally, I think Shaman created a mesh bear for us. So some of the newer bears you'll see will be mesh. template for us to work off of. But I'm one of these people where it's like once I make it and I start sending it out, I can't take it back. I can't send out an updated bear. Those will be out there forever. And what if I regret it? It's like looking at pictures of my avatar from 2005 when I thought I was, looking pretty fly. And now I'm like, oh man, why are there snapshots of this that exist?
Yes, why did I think I looked so cool?
Uh-oh.
I,
See,
I,
these shamans putting me on the Linden bear building class list.
uh-huh. I can just see rows of Lindens sitting there patiently building bears. This is what you do.
Yes, a
Okay.
bear made out of patchwork hair. There we go. All my boxes
Yeah.
of hair.
Yeah, like the thing, in the Addams Family, the thing.
Exactly.
You could just put a couple of eyes on it and say that is your bear.
That is an idea.
Yeah, go on. Everyone ask Shaman for his bear.
In fact, I think Shaman has more than one bear. I just made Shaman's life a living hell.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Who else is in the audience that has bears? Ship them out. Now's the time to share your bears. All right, sorry.
Okay. Right. So we have another question.
All right.
Let me scroll back to that. Right. Once Sansaar is mainstream, does Linden Lab still plan on keep updating Second Life?
So yeah. So do we plan to? The reason I paused before answering that is because it surprises me that people still have this question, and this may play into what you were saying earlier, Saffia, which is, and what I was saying about you can write things in the sky, but maybe somebody's going to happen to be glancing down at their feet when you write that sign. I think from the beginning, since we first started talking about Sansaar, we've talked about Second Life continuing to be an important piece of Linden Lab and a priority for us. We have a huge team of folks who are dedicated to just working on Second Life. Some of us who are a shared resource like me, who I do have my hands involved in both products, and then people who are dedicated to Sansaar. And Second Life is not, Sansaar is not SL 2.0. It's not intended to replace Second Life. It's not intended to even maybe necessarily emulate everything and all of the features that Second Life has. That's just not what it is. And so there could be instances where some of us may decide one over the other. There may be, some who decide I'm going to stay in SL with my inventory and my good times and all of my friends here, or people who may decide, hey, Sansaar's pretty, let's go over there. And there may be those who continue to spend time in both. I have a tendency when I'm playing video games, for example, I will play one game for like 2 weeks straight. Well, not 2 weeks straight. I'll sleep and work and all that in between. But I mean, I'll go back to that game every night for 2 weeks, and then switch to another game. And I think not that SL and Sansaar are games per se, but I think our intention is that people may choose to spend more time in one than the other. They may to not spend any time in Sansaar at all. We hope that you'll check it out at least, but yeah, there will still be ongoing efforts, and Oz and Grumpity, who will be here tomorrow at 2, will attest to the fact that they're doing a lot of thinking about what can we still do with Second Life, what can we fix, what can we tweak. Bento was just a huge, huge project. That was a lot of investment that they put into that to sort of just take SL to a new level, and give creators a new thing to play with, as well as content consumers. So rest assured, we will still be supporting and heavily invested in Second Life, emotionally as well as work-wise. So, yes,
I
Second
think,
Life.
yeah.
I better be back here on for S. I keep accidentally typing SL24B because my fingernails are too long right now, and I keep thinking to myself, I want to be around for that. That'll be a fun party. 10 years from now. That's my hope.
Well, maybe I'll still be here interviewing you.
Yeah, could happen.
Hopefully without a cold.
Yeah, we'll hope for that. I hope you feel better. Well, I hope you feel better in 10 years, Saffia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Will not have a cold in 10 years.
I hope it doesn't stick around that long. Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have any final questions for Xiola? Because she has been very kind. She's now stayed an extra half hour for us.
Hey, this is one of my favorite things. I love, love, love doing this. I was secretly kind of excited that Pete couldn't join me and that Kayla couldn't join me. No. I know they were both very, very sad they couldn't make it this year for the Meet the Lindens thing. But yeah, I'm a chatter. I like talking. So if it wasn't apparent.
We have a question. Moles or hippos? I think most people are going to answer moles to that.
Hippos. What am I having to choose?
Oh, have you never seen the hippos? Sometimes when your friends list doesn't load, it puts up hippo, 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 hippo.
Oh, I haven't. No. How funny. I know that there's some Bay City. Isn't one of the Bay City regions called like hippopotamus or something like that? They have a hippopotamus section, or anyways, that's the hippo that I know. But I'm all for the moles. I love me some moles.
Mm.
Yes.
I love
one of these days, maybe. Yeah, the moles are great. We have some that are also digging around in Sansaar as well, so it will be mole-orific as well there. Yeah, no, moles are great. I think the moles, and I think Dee had to take off, unfortunately, but she can confirm, the moles actually built the shopping region for this year's first annual SL14B shopping extravaganza. So, and they took a lot of the feedback that we had last year, from the last shopping event we did, which was actually this year. I think we did a Valentine's Day one. And I gave them a lot of feedback about, what would work well for people who want to cam shop, how can we optimize this so that more people can get in, that sort of thing. And so if you haven't been over there yet to check it out, you definitely should. We have 60 merchants, each of them offering a free gift. Oh yes, and I'm sorry if I always say shaman. Tomato again with that, right? Shaman QA'd the heck out of it. You QA'd that mall so well. It has been nothing but positive feedback I've heard about that mall. And they've each got free gifts available, so you can drop by, pick up the gifts, spend some money. They're offering discounts on a lot of their popular items, and it's been going really, really well. And so that was, one of those things, of course, probably under the wire, down to the last minute. I was like, we should do a shopping event. And the moles probably got tasked with having to put that together under a pretty tight deadline. And it turned out really, really well. And I'm hoping to expand on that for future shopping events. If we can maybe try 120 merchants next time, try double in the size. I have a lot of respect for those who do events in World, because coordinating just 60 merchants for me was like herding cats. Doing that with twice as many, I think I just need to give myself a little more time. But I would love to expand that. I would love to have a bigger shopping event. I know shopping events are really popular in SL. Some people hate them, some people love them. But I think if you offer some gifts and some discounts, it's always a good thing, right?
I think so. And I am going to go and check it out.
Okay, yes, I see somebody asking for a landmark. I will send you the destination guide entry. There's 3, is it? Yeah, we have 3 regions, Halcyon, Gilded, and Golden. as the alternate gift for 14th anniversaries is gold. So we went with those names. And you can try, if one of them's busy, you can try getting into another location. Let me shout that so people can get it. So yeah, check it out. Lots of good stuff. Yeah, please do. And then, yeah, hopefully I'll see folks at Music Fest this weekend. That's kicking off Friday. I'll share a link for that as well, so that you know where to go and who's playing. I have a convenient little landing page, actually, that Brett Linden helped put together that shows the lineup for those 3 different days, and then I'll also share the destination guide entry. This is all of the shameless self-promotion, right?
You realise, of course, that this weekend in the UK is Glastonbury, so this is obviously Second Life's Glastonbury.
It is. Why do I keep whispering? What's going on here? Hitting the wrong button. Somebody needs to repeat that somewhere for me. And yes, I saw somebody mentioned earlier, I think there's also a big, huge, is it like the 12th year of of Second Life, Second Pride that's happening this weekend in SL? So I think between all of the fun things going on here and additional fun summary-related events, there's plenty of good times to be had. And I'm the kind of girl that I'd rather sit at my computer for music than sludge around in the sun and the mud. Using a porta potty.
Yeah, I was going to say, and brave the toilets.
Yeah. So, but yes, hopefully you guys can, some of you guys can come out and join me for that. I'll look forward to it, and
you ought to put up porta potties just so people can queue for them.
Actually, the stage that we will be doing Music Fest on, I think I've been saving it. I haven't gone yet because I want to make it a surprise. But I think it's part of the cake stage, which I have been to. But then I think that oh gosh, the guy who does Contraption, I think Steam. Why am I? The name is slipping my mind. Faust Steamweaver. Is that right? I think he built the stage for us again this year. So I'm really looking forward and excited to see that. I think it's the Guardian. I think that's the one. I'll have to double check. But like I said, I haven't gone over there yet because I want to keep it a surprise. Last year's build was so incredible with the automaton that moved.
It's pretty incredible. It is an incredible stage. Someone has made the point that the Second Life Music Fest is much cheaper than a Glastonbury ticket.
Yes. It's free 99, as we like to say. Really, all you need to do, it's bring your own, what do you bring your own, not bring your own beer. I guess you could bring your own beer if you want, but what would be the virtual equivalent of that? Yes.
You're not allowed to camp, though. You can't set up your tents. There's no space.
Yes. Yeah, so I hope I see you guys. And we have it at different times each day, so for those of you who are in different time zones, hopefully you'll be able to come. I'm excited. Saturday, I think we're doing 8 to midnight, which means that it'll be after hours for me, which means maybe I'll have to have a little adult beverage while I enjoy the musical sounds. But yeah, we've got a lot of genres covered. It should be a good time. And I'm sorry, that was all the shameless self-promotion. I probably forgot something. But I just want to take the opportunity to thank this community again for all of the amazing things that don't just happen around SL14B, but 24/7, 365. This is like the coolest freaking community I've ever had the honor to work with. So just keep doing you, please, and let me know about the cool stuff that you do as well, so that I can help put the message out there.
I've had one question, which is probably quite a good one to finish on, which is, how can I keep current on these interviews? I'd like to attend more. Can we do more?
Yes, actually, it's funny. I was just talking to Saffia We had something where we were doing lab chat. Usually, I think we were doing about one a quarter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somewhere around there, and it was usually the Ebe that came and talked. But we had talked about opening that up and having it be, different Lindens coming in and getting interviewed. And I think between that, maybe us sort of figuring out where that's at and if we can dust it off and bring it up again. And also, just in general coming up, maybe that's something I can do with the in-world meetups, to sort of turn them into sort of more casual conversations like this, where we have a featured guest. Oh my. And that sort of thing. I mean, there's a lot of Lindens who love talking to our residents, so I'm sure we can make that happen more often, for sure. And Saffia and I will put our heads together on
lab chat.
On lab chat, yes. I think, yeah, that would be awesome.
Okay, we are going to need to restart this region.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys.
So, Xiola, thank you so much for coming here and talking today and giving us lots of extra time. It's been great.
Absolutely. I'll see if I have to see what's on my schedule. I'd like to come back for that blog or talk too, so maybe I'll see you after the reboot.